Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber Security Plus podcast. This series helps you prepare for the CompTIA Security Plus exam with focused explanations and practical context. For a companion study guide, check out the Achieve CompTIA Security Plus 701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. It is the most concise and complete Security Plus guide on the market, built for busy professionals who want to pass the exam fast and on their first try. You can find this book and others at cyberauthor.me. Access control doesn't stop at deciding who gets in. It also includes decisions about when, how long, and under what conditions access should be allowed. As environments become more dynamic and threats more persistent, organizations need smarter ways to reduce attack surfaces and enforce policy. In this episode, we explore two advanced access control techniques that improve security and operational control: time of day restrictions and the principle of least privilege. Let's start with time of day restrictions. As the name suggests, this method restricts access to systems, networks, or applications based on the time and day of the week. It's a way to prevent unauthorized activity outside of normal business hours, reduce risk exposure, and enforce business-aligned access windows. Time-based access control is especially useful in environments with predictable work patterns. For example, if your call center operates from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., there may be no reason for those employees to have login access during overnight hours. By enforcing time-of-day restrictions, you reduce the risk of compromised accounts being used outside those hours, when detection and response resources might be limited. Let's walk through a real-world example. A healthcare organization allows billing staff to access financial systems Monday through Friday between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. If someone tries to log in using a billing account on Sunday night at 2 a.m., access is denied, even if the credentials and multi-factor authentication are correct. This adds an additional layer of defense, protecting the system from off-premise attacks using stolen credentials. Time-of-day restrictions can also be tied to specific systems or roles. For example, developers may be allowed to access code repositories at any time, while human resources staff are limited to normal business hours. These rules can be customized to reflect operational needs and threat models. Implementing time-of-day restrictions requires coordination with human resources, IT, and management to understand when users genuinely need access. It also requires careful logging so that failed access attempts outside of allowed hours are recorded and analyzed. This can help detect credential theft, insider abuse, or automated attacks. However, these restrictions should be flexible. There must be a process for exceptions, such as on-call staff needing after-hours access or emergencies requiring a policy override. Ideally, this is handled through just-in-time access or temporary elevation workflows, where exceptions are granted for a defined period and logged for review. Now let's shift to the least privilege principle. Least privilege is one of the foundational concepts in cybersecurity. It means giving users, applications, and systems the minimum level of access necessary to perform their assigned tasks. No more, no less. The goal of least privilege is to limit the potential damage that can occur from a compromised account, an insider threat, or an accidental action. If a user doesn't need access to financial records, they shouldn't have it. If a script doesn't need administrative rights, it shouldn't be running with those privileges. Let's consider a practical example. An intern joins a software development team to assist with documentation. Under the principle of least privilege, the intern is given read-only access to the documentation repository. They can view and comment on files, but they cannot modify code, access production systems, or view sensitive configuration data. This protects both the system and the intern, minimizing the chance of mistakes or misuse. Least privilege applies to more than users. It also applies to service accounts, automation scripts, containers, and APIs. Every access point should be reviewed to ensure it has only the permissions it needs. Over time, access levels should be reviewed and adjusted as roles change or responsibilities evolve. One major risk in many environments is privilege creep. This happens when users change roles or take on temporary duties. but their elevated permissions are never revoked. For example, someone might move from the finance department to marketing, but still retain access to financial systems. Over time, these unnecessary privileges accumulate, creating a larger attack surface and compliance risk. To enforce least privilege, organizations must define clear access roles, use role-based access control, and perform regular access reviews. Automation helps here by assigning permissions based on group membership or job title, and by flagging accounts that deviate from expected permission sets. Multi-factor authentication and session timeouts are also part of a least privilege strategy. Even if a user has limited access, their session shouldn't stay active indefinitely. For administrative accounts, use just-in-time access and privileged access management tools to grant elevated rights only when needed, and only for the duration required. Let's take another example. A system administrator needs to install updates on a production server. Rather than using an always-on admin account, they request temporary elevation from a privileged access management tool. The system grants them access for 1 hour, logs their actions, and automatically revokes permissions at the end of the session. This enforces least privilege while still allowing operational flexibility. Another organization implements least privilege in their cloud environment by applying identity and access management policies to services and roles. Each virtual machine, storage bucket, and Lambda function is granted only the permissions it needs. This prevents misconfigured systems from accessing broader resources and reduces the blast radius of any security incident. To summarize, advanced access controls are about narrowing access to exactly what's needed and when it's needed. Time-of-day restrictions add a layer of control by limiting access to specific hours or days, reducing off-hundreds risk. The principle of least privilege ensures that every account, process, and system runs with only the minimum necessary permissions. Together, these controls limit exposure, reduce attack surfaces, and support compliance across diverse environments. For the Security Plus exam, expect questions about how to apply time-based access control, what least privilege means in practice, and how to identify over-permissioned accounts. You may be asked to analyze a scenario where access needs to be restricted based on time, or where a user has more access than necessary. Review terms like time-of-day policy, access window, privilege escalation, role alignment, and access review. They are important for both the exam and your real-world cybersecurity toolkit. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.